1, 2, 3.
Welcome to the Triple RS podcast with me, Ashna Takhtani, here to let you know that no matter what you face in life, you are not alone. We do this through a safe, judgment-free community where we share relatable stories for relatable students from relatable scenes. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Triple XRS podcast with me, Ashna Takhtani, here to let you know that no matter what you face in life, you are not alone. Okay, I kind of realized that I did more of an Australian than a British, so I'm just going to switch that up really quickly. If you're new here, hello, welcome, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for being a part of the Triple XRS community. And no, I am not British or Australian or even deranged. I'm perfectly normal, and I'm Indian, just by the way. And if you are not new here, then you probably already sensed that something was going on, and I kind of did break character in between, so I'm very sorry for that. But I'm just going to explain this through short story time. So whether you're new or not new, I basically used to do this thing called True or False in the beginning of my episodes, where it's like I would share a story, and then you guys would have to guess if it's true or if it's false. But I started getting a lot of messages that I was really, really bad at it, and that I would almost always give away the actual answer. So I stopped doing true or false, and I just started doing story time. But quite recently, actually, somebody messaged me on Instagram, and I did share the snapshot. So if you don't believe me, it's actually on Instagram, and I posted it on my stories. And I think I added it to the highlights of, so just triple XRS. So I added it to the highlights there, and you can check it out if you don't believe me. But one of you, I don't know who, but honestly, I'm going to hunt you down. No, it's a great idea. They told me that they want to see these solo episodes spiced up a bit. And so they told me that would be a good idea to do a dare every time we do a solo episode, or every other time we do a solo episode. And so I asked you guys, would you be here for it? Like, would you like this? Is this something that you dig? And I kid you not, 100% of you, like not even one person thought it would be a bit inappropriate. Like, oh, let's talk about insecurities. And meanwhile, I'm just like going around in another accent. But no, you guys were perfectly fine with it. And so here we are. I then asked you guys for suggestions for dares. And I really, I was praying that you would keep it quite normal. But, okay, I mean, I guess it could have been a lot worse. I don't know how, but this is the beginning, and I've seen some of your other suggestions, like do an Irish accent, do it completely in French. So just look out for any future episodes, guys, because you may have to get a translator. No, I'm joking. But now, enough of that, and we're going to dive back into insecurities and how to deal with them, part 2. So thank you so much for, waiting, and for staying tuned, for keeping an eye out or an ear out, whatever, to when this episode is going to be released. The first thing is, I want you to, and this is not a question that you're going to be answering me to, because I can't hear you, and this is not in real time, but I want you to ask yourself this: did you complete the little task, the little activity that I set for you in the last episode, or Insecurities part 1, basically? If you haven't, and if you have jumped just straight to this episode, then I would suggest, please, even if you just take out 5 to 10 minutes, please, you don't understand how important that task is. It doesn't even require a lot of time. Just let it all out in your journal. You don't want to make this whole big thing, and you just want to spend 5 minutes on it. That is also okay, as long as you self-reflect and you kind of have a better understanding of what insecurities are for you, for yourself. Because I think it's really important to remember that what I'm saying is just a little general thing. It may not always apply to everybody. Okay, so you have to really find out, like, for you personally, what is going on and why that's happening, so that when we come across the solutions today, will obviously make a lot more sense, and it will be much more effective, because you can just start applying it really quickly, because you know what to apply and maybe what you might not want to try. All right. Now, in our last episode, so in part 1, we looked at what insecurity was. We said it was a feeling of inadequacy. We looked at the 4 different manifestations. So it's social anxiety, fear of failure, imposter syndrome, and hang on, I forgot. No. Hang on, I'm just gonna check really quickly. Oh yeah, body image issues. Oh my god, that's such a big one. How did I forget? Right, but those are the 4. And then we actually looked at, why they happen, and we saw that it was societal pressure, comparison traps, but then we also realized that we are not going to play the victim card here. And I've done a whole episode on this before actually with a person who helped me set up this podcast. She's amazing. And she basically spoke about her story of how she went from broke at 16 to a boss, like literally churning out 7 figures every month within just a matter of a couple of years. That was with Warsha Joshi, so the one and only absolute queen. Go check it out. So, that's basically where we talk about not playing the victim card. And we did say that insecurities sometimes are not because of others. Sometimes they are because of what we think ourselves. And I said that I obviously explained the difference with 2 different stories, and that took in a lot of time. So you might want to go and listen back to that right now if you already haven't, because, and this is the reason, it's not that I'm just trying to get more plays on my episode or whatever. It's because a lot of the time, insecurities and the types of insecurities, especially self-insecurities and insecurities based on other people's opinions, overlap and they intersect, and it just becomes super messy if you don't understand, which one is the main insecurity that you have. Like for me, I know that I have more self-insecurities, but the main one for me, stuff that I say to myself or that I used to say. And now before we go on to why insecurities are so bad, apart from the quite obvious, I just want to say that remember, having insecurities is okay. We're looking about how we can battle with them, how we can deal with them, but that does not mean that it's your fault because you're insecure. No, because that's not how we deal with things. We need to accept that it's normal, that we are human. We are not robots with no feelings or emotions, and I said this before as well. So you have insecurities, that is okay. We are working on how we can reduce and minimize the effect and consequences that these insecurities have on us. And consequences such as holding us back. I think especially for fear of failure, and I spoke about this again in the previous episode and how it affected me, but it just holds us back. Whether that is answering a question in class and looking smart, or proving that you have knowledge on a certain aspect, or even trying to learn, to not going for your dream, not achieving what you want to, not trying to achieve what you want to because you're afraid you're going to look dumb or you're going to look stupid in public. And that makes me so sad, because how are you so scared of other people's opinions that you are letting that, A, define your worth, and B, hold you back from what it is that you really want to do? And a lot of the time it scares us so much to the point where we don't know how we can deal with it. So again, I want you to know that it's okay and that we will be talking about this in today's episode. Secondly, impacts our mental health. And I think that is the overall consequence. And we've seen it. It's just self-doubt, constant self-doubt as well, and harsh self-criticism. Now, I am all for self-criticism and constructive criticism, but harsh criticism and negative feedback, constantly hearing those things, it can contribute to anxiety, depression, and overall just low self-esteem. And then damage of relationships. Insecurities can create problems not just with yourself, and this is going back to the whole, mental health and holding you back, but also it can affect your relationships that you have with other people due to jealousy, due to possessiveness, or even difficulty trusting others. There we go. But here's the good news. Like anything and everything else in life, nothing is impossible, even overcoming insecurity. Now, again, like I said, although self-insecurity and insecurity based on other people's opinions are different, they quite often overlap or intersect. So some of the ways to actually get rid of them are also quite similar, mainly because the root of so many of these different types of insecurities are, again, quite similar. So the first thing, and I think no matter what kind of insecurity that you have, this is something that you need to do in order to start chipping away at the root of these insecurities, and that is challenge negative self-talk. Insecurities stem from negativity, mainly negative self-talk. Whether this negative talk comes from outside, it then will turn into self-talk, and you won't even realize how. And that's because our subconscious, and again, I will be talking about this more, our subconscious doesn't know the difference between non-fiction and fiction. So whether it's something that you say to yourselves or that other people say to you, something said again and again and again can turn into self-talk, can turn into thoughts, can turn into your beliefs. And if they're negative, they obviously limit you. And that is such a bad thing. So the first thing to get rid of any insecurity or to minimize its consequence is challenging negative self-talk. Listen to your inner critic, but don't always believe everything it says. Now, these negative thoughts, I like to call them ants. which is actually an acronym for automatic negative thoughts. The S is just there for the plural. So those are our ants, right? And the best way to get rid of these ants is killing it through magic. And I don't know if you guys have heard recently, but Eminem just released a song, Houdini, and he's like, abracadabra. I love that song. Anyways, that's exactly what we're going to be using. We're going to use a bit of Eminem magic. We're going to use a bit of abracadabra, because that is, again, another acronym. And it's really only the first part of it, Abra. Abra is the acronym, and I'm going to tell you what it stands for right now. But you have to, and I know some of it may sound a little bit silly, but trust me, it is a great way to remember what to do, especially in times of, when those insecurities really start to creep up to you and you start to feel really stuck. And, I can't really explain the feeling, but I think you are able to paint an image in your head. So these acronyms really, really do help. So killing ants through abracadabra, mainly Abra. Right, A in Abra stands for acknowledge. Again, we've said this several times again, and I will keep saying it until it gets through to you. Now, you are getting these negative thoughts, and that's perfectly okay, because you are human. That's all right. The first step to actually getting rid of something is acknowledging and accepting that it is there and it exists. Cool. Now, the B in Abra stands for breathe. All right, I want you to imagine, all right, that there are positive thoughts all around you. So what really helps me is creating, you can close your eyes for this. I love to do that because it further enhances my imagination. Right, so I'm closing my eyes and I'm now imagining that there's a circle around me, and that circle, let's say, is filled with positive thoughts. Again, I love colors. I'm a very colorful person, so I would like to assign a color to an emotion or to a feeling. Positivity for me is usually yellow. So I've got a yellow, nice, cute, lemonish yellow bubble around me, and that is filled with positivity and positive thoughts. Now what we're going to do is on the count of 3, we're going to take a deep breath in. All right? And we are going to take, so imagine all the circle. If it's yellow, let's say, we're going to breathe so deeply in that all this yellow, it comes in to a little tiny ball and it goes inside our head. All right? So on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, now don't release it just yet. This is really hard for me because I have to talk as well. But the R, keep your eyes closed. The R in this stands for release. I want you now to imagine that all those negative thoughts are also in one place only. Pinpoint where they are. Take those positive thoughts to that point. All right, imagine you're doing a little cleansing. And now, when you release, all that negativity is going to come out, whether that is through your mouth, through your nose, however. I think it's best to do it through our mouth. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Cool. You can open your eyes now. So now that we have, acknowledged that, yes, we've got negative thoughts in our head, we've got these ants roaming around, then we breathed in all that positivity and we pinpointed it to a certain place where we think those negative thoughts are hiding. Then we released it. We let all those negative thoughts come out through our mouth, and now we're simply filled with positivity. Now there is empty space. Just imagine there's empty space inside there. All right? Some of you may be saying that there's usually empty space inside there. But that is also, I know that's a joke, but right now we're doing the exercise, and that is also a form of negative thought. So that means that this exercise hasn't really worked. So I want you to pause the episode and do that again until you think of no such thing. That was a funny joke, by the way. All right, now there are no negative thoughts in there, right? I want you to, now this is what the last A stands for, align. Align that previous negative thought with something more positive. So if it is something like, this is one that I get a lot actually, about public speaking. If it's something like, I'm not good at public speaking, if that was the previous thought, right, or I'm not confident, I want you to now change it to, I am not confident yet. 3 letters, 1 word, and it is so, so powerful. Because it just changes the way your mind starts to think. From now thinking about negative things and thinking about, things being impossible, you're in this little dark ditch that you've dug for yourself. Now, you're looking up at the sky and you're thinking, hey, look at how much around the world is possible. Look at how much I can do, So I am not confident yet. I am not good at public speaking yet. Now, that is for negative thoughts that sound a lot like the ones we've just said. But if your negative thoughts sound like, I'm not pretty, or I am not strong, simple, very easy, Very easy. If you want to add the yet, if that makes you feel more comfortable, add the yet. But if you are someone who wants to go bang on straight into the affirmations, I'm not pretty, wrong. I am gorgeous. I am beautiful. I'm not strong, I am strong. Me personally, I think this kind of depends on how far up you prioritize this in your head or how you truly feel about these things. For about the strong thing, I used to think, oh, I'm not strong. Now I think I'm not strong yet. Because I feel like I'm not doing enough action to prove what's in my head if I say I am strong. So I'm saying I am not strong yet. Then when I feel like I'm finally doing enough action, that's going to change to I am strong. Boom. So that's how it works. Maybe if you're not fully confident enough to go straight into the final of I am pretty or I am strong or I am confident, you can add that word yet. It's like a little filler, but it works magic. It does wonders for your brain and it really, really shifts your mindset. And remember that with these negative thoughts and stuff, what's the worst that can happen? What's the worst case scenario? All this pressure that comes on to us with these insecurities, we need to remember that it's not life or death. You know, what's the worst that's going to happen if you're not confident? Let's say you have a public speaking gig, right? We always keep thinking, oh my God, I'm going to fall off the stage. Oh my God, the mic's going to drop out of my hands. Okay, so what? Did anybody die? Did you die? No. Sure, it might be a little bit embarrassing. Just bend down and pick the mic up, you know? If you trip, that's great because then actually you can make a joke about it later on. And that's how you can shift your mindset as well as other people's mindsets from laughing at you to laughing with you. The greatest comedians, they make fun of themselves, right? But I mean, they get paid a lot. A lot of people come to the show. So clearly it's doing something, you know? And we don't go away thinking like, okay, I'm going to take Trevor Noah as an example. We don't go away thinking like, oh my God, Trevor Noah is such a fool. We think, oh my God, he's such a comedian and he is such a confident man. Love that for him, right? So it really shifts our mindsets. What's the worst that can happen? And again, another thing to remember, it's not always about you. In this enormous universe, all right, if you really zoom out a bit on Google Earth, you'll see that you're only a speck of dust. So it's not always about you. It's okay. What's the worst that can happen? As long as nobody dies, you're good. You're good, babes. All right? Remember that. I do feel, though, and I'm going to say this, that when it comes to our body image, it is much harder to remove these negative thoughts about ourselves. You know, but again, like, you need to remember that so what if you have a few more pimples than you did yesterday or last week? So what if you're taller or you're shorter than what, you know, the average is or than what is seen as average? It's not going to change the way people see you unless you let it change the way people see you. I'm not the tallest person in my class, in my grade even. I think I'm like the third, fourth shortest. I'm still extremely smart, okay? I'm extremely confident. And everybody knows the kind of things I do outside of school. You know, so much of that I've achieved. And that also, actually, I feel like because of my achievements, I feel a lot more confident. That brings us on to our next point. To build that confidence, how do we do it? The first thing, and I think this is really, really important, right, is to develop your skills. These achievements for me, like being a radio presenter, being a TV presenter, hosting for some of the biggest brands in the region, that for me is like public speaking is the skill that I'm trying to enhance, right? So whatever that skill is for you, find something and be really, really good at it. Because then, think about it, right? No one has ever told me about my public speaking that, oh my God, you suck. And even if they do say that, that is up to the metric to decide. So if you want to get into, I don't know, let's say swimming, right? Like your 50 meters freestyle should be XYZ seconds. So you work, you train a lot. You train every single day. You train as much as you can. And then people see you as, oh my God, you're really good at swimming, right? So no one can ever say, oh my God, you suck at sports. Oh my God, you're such a bad swimmer. Because you know deep down that the stopwatch, that doesn't lie. If you are faster than the average, let's say, you already have a metric to tell you whether you're good or whether you're not. So what other people say automatically does not have much weight. That's the same thing for me. And people can tell me, and actually they say a lot of stuff. And this, because this is one of the only things that they can talk about. Because I'm smart, I'm talented outside of school, touch wood, thank God. And I'm confident, and I've got a great social life. So my height is kind of one of the only things that they can actually, I guess, talk about or make comments about. But it doesn't really affect me because Again, I'm smart. I'm talented. Like, I have those different accomplishments and I have metrics that I can measure myself against to tell myself, to ask myself, am I good or am I not? That is not up to somebody else to decide. And that is not something that, if somebody says, can make me feel bad. If it's like a mentor of mine who can tell me, oh, Ashna, you need to improve on this, I'm going to take it in a positive sense. That is constructive criticism. And automatically, I feel much better and I'm building confidence. Now, another way to build confidence, celebrating your achievements. And this is a lot, I think, especially for imposter syndrome. If you have ever faced imposter syndrome, you would know. If you're currently facing imposter syndrome, then this is something that can really help you to minimize it. And it is celebrating your achievements, because perfectionism can be exhausting. And a lot of the times it is at the root of insecurities. Now, personally, I hold myself to a very, very high standard, whether that is in terms of grades at school or my accomplishments or extracurriculars. And ambition, I think, is very, very healthy. And again, I have an episode planned on this, so we can talk about it in more detail. Ambition is healthy, but there's a very thin line, I think, between ambition and between pressure. In my head, the way to, ensure that we keep this healthy level of ambition without burning out is to take time to acknowledge your accomplishments, no matter how small. This builds a sense of self-confidence that what I do does matter. What I do is making an impact. What I do is good enough. And I definitely tried this for, again, I spoke about this in the first part of insecurities and how do we deal with them. About, with scripts, with writing, with me giving speeches. So I started to, celebrate the parts that I wrote myself. I delivered a speech, I was able to memorize it, and I was able to say it in a way that it helped at least one person. That is such a big accomplishment. Celebrate that. Give yourself a little pat on the back for that. Then we've got, as I started getting older, of course, I started writing more parts of the script myself. So if I wrote, let's say, 50% of the script, good on you. That is amazing. Again, as I started growing older, as I started doing more speeches, if I wrote 90% of the script, good job. Celebrate those little achievements. And that really does make such a difference. The next thing is develop coping mechanisms. Mindful practices like journaling, meditating, or breathing exercises can help to minimize or manage anxiety that is often associated with insecurity. Now, one of you wrote acne as something that you feel insecure about. And I feel like this is something that a lot of people feel insecure about, and to a great extent, so I'm not even going to name you. I'm just going to call you person 2. And it's something that I feel insecure about. I don't know if you can see it right now, but I've actually, everybody feels insecure about, I think, the skin acne, and a huge part of that is because of comparison traps, because of people having flawless skin. Some people actually do have flawless skin, good for you, girl, or guy. I want to be inclusive here, but I feel like a lot of it is due to filters and stuff, because acne is such a normal thing. It's such a normal human thing. Person 2, you are a teenager, and you know that, and it's, again, so perfectly normal for teenagers to have acne. B, even if you're not, again, it's a human thing. It's normal, I used to face body image issues. Sometimes I still do, on a much lower scale, of course, but I do. And the way that my coping mechanism basically was, and this is for acne specifically, every morning I used to get up, and the first thing that I would do, as I'm sure a lot of you do, is look at the mirror, and I would always constantly find oh my god, what new pimple has popped up, or what's the new wrong thing, what is the new negative thing in my face. I would always look for the negatives as soon as I wake up, and that is so damaging, on your mental health, on your mindset towards your body. And I shifted it then to, I still look at myself in the mirror first thing when I wake up, but instead of immediately looking for the new pimple that's popped up or the new scar that's been left out or whatever, I now look at my face, look straight there, scan the whole thing, and I say, you are gorgeous. I say that to my reflection. I say, you are beautiful. You're absolutely incredible. Your body is a vessel that is allowing you to thrive, not just survive, but thrive every single day. And for that, I am so grateful. So grateful that I look this good. And now, I feel so much better. It's just that small shift in your mindset, and it does so much. I know it can be really silly to just be looking at yourself in the mirror and saying that kind of stuff. You don't have to actually say it out loud. You can even whisper it if you feel silly. That's what I did before. Now I'm confident enough, comfortable enough to say it out loud, but it really, really depends on you. I think the big thing about this is actually believing what you are saying. Affirmations, they are so important. But if you don't believe it, then you're actually going to be hurting yourself and your chances of shifting your mindset. So like I said, again, this is the same thing with, I'm not pretty, I am not pretty yet, or I am pretty. It's that whole little process. So make sure that you believe it. You are gorgeous. If you don't believe that yet, maybe you like the color of your eyes. So talk about your eyes. Say, my eyes are so gorgeous. My eyes are absolutely beautiful. Hype yourself up. And that is really, really helpful. So try it out. Especially with body image issues, I think that is something that I would definitely advise you to do. And I actually read somewhere the different coping mechanisms for the different ways you feel. I'm not sure how related this is to insecurities, but I just thought I would share this because I think it's absolutely amazing. It's like a whole guide. And it says, and you may have seen this before, it says, if you feel like you hate everyone, go eat something. Preach. If you feel like everyone hates you, go to sleep, take a short nap. 26 minutes to 30 minutes is a great nap, actually, because after that, you will end up feeling quite refreshed. If you feel like you hate yourself, have a shower. That really, really helps. If you feel like everyone hates you, go outside. Do some physical exercise. I usually like to go on a run. Just put same headphones, just take my phone out, Spotify, I've got a playlist, and I just run. Or walk, whatever it is that you feel comfortable with. Or go, play basketball, or play badminton, or play tennis, or whatever it is that you do. Physical exercise also really, really helps, because when you exercise for at least, I would say, 30 minutes, dopamine is released, and endorphins that actually release dopamine, they are released. So it's a great coping mechanisms for the things that I've just mentioned here. And last, but definitely not least, and this is absolutely beautiful, gratitude. Express gratitude and focus on your strengths. Focus on what you already have, because that shifts your mindset from, again, negativity and scarcity to abundance. And if you don't believe me, if you think this is dumb, there was actually an experiment that was conducted on a group of people. When they started the experiment, they measured the participants' happiness level, and it was 2%. Right now, they have not done anything as of yet. They just measured the happiness levels, and it was 2%. Then they asked each individual to think of someone and to write down that person's name, someone whom they are grateful for. Once the participants wrote that down, they checked the participants' happiness level again, and this time it increased to 4%. And then they asked each individual to either call or go and meet the person who they had written down. So whoever they are grateful for, go call them, meet them, talk to them, and actually express that gratitude. And after that, when the happiness levels were measured again, it increased to a whopping 19%. That is 10 times happiness as what they had in the beginning. That's crazy, isn't it? So that experiment proves that expressing gratitude automatically does so much in terms of shifting our mindset and making us feel happy and chipping away at the roots of the insecurities that we have. Again, for body images, and I said this before, don't be so harsh on yourself. Your body is a vessel. You are surviving. You are able to thrive in this body. So be grateful for it, because so many people, they don't wake up the next day. So be grateful for the small things that you have, and trust me, it will make you feel so much better. All right. And I know I said last, but definitely not least, but this one is actually something that I'm going to emphasize on a lot. I am not an expert. The things I have shared today, I've obviously done my research. A lot of these are tried and tested methods. I'm speaking from experience of whatever insecurities it is that I have faced. But if it comes to the point where you're having panic attacks, or you're having anxiety attacks, and it's like really unbearable, talk to a trusted adult. Seek some sort of expert guidance. What I say is only some sort of idea of guidance, of advice. I'm not an expert. I'm not qualified enough to help you with those kind of things. But what I will say is seek a trusted adult. Talk to somebody about it. Somebody that you can truly trust, and get expert guidance and expert advice. And that will really, really help. Thank you so much for tuning in for today's episode. I really hope that was I've clarified things for you in terms of what insecurity is, the different types, the cause, and how we can get rid of it. I really, really want to know, your progress. Keep me updated all the way. Remember, this is a community. It's not a podcast as much as it is a community, a judgment-free community where you are safe to, share whatever it is that you're going through, or however it is that you're feeling, or whether or not these exercises have helped you. So let me know, and actually going back to the gratitude thing, as soon as this episode finishes, I want you to pause whatever you're doing and think of someone who you feel really, really grateful for, and text them, call them, meet them, whatever. It could be anyone. It could be a friend, it could be a parent, it could be your siblings, it could even be a doctor. I'm super grateful for my orthodontist, actually, because he has done an amazing job with my braces, and it's been only a year, and I'm about to get them off really soon, which is crazy, actually, because my teeth were pretty crooked before. So, I quite often express gratitude to him. Super, super thankful for the clinic, and it could even be me. No, I'm joking. But whoever it is that you're grateful for, express your gratitude, and you're going to feel much better already. Like I said, keep me updated on your progress, however you feel, and if there's anything else that you want me to talk about, address anything that you're going through, or you just need basic advice on from one student to another, this is the place for you. Thank you so much for tuning in to Triple XRS. My name is Ashna Thani, and I will see you soon. And also, this is a wrap on my British accent. I don't think I'm ever going to be doing this again. But let me know, actually. Do you think I did a good job? Let me know on my Instagram, Ashna's Talk Time, or you can let me know here on Spotify. Bye!
1, 2,